Okay, as promised, we're going to jump right in. I'm now going to introduce Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill. From a young age, Mikey knew she wanted to fly and do big things. After graduating from the Naval Academy in 1994, the first class of women eligible for combat roles on ships and aircraft, Mikey spent almost 10 years on active duty in the United States Navy. As a Sea King helicopter pilot, she led missions throughout Europe and the Middle East. She worked on the battle watch floor in the European theater during the Iraq War, served as a flag aide to the deputy commander of the United States Atlantic Fleet, and was a Russian policy officer aiding in the implementation of our nuclear treaty obligations, and oversaw the relationship between the US Navy and Russian Federation Navy. Following her service in the Navy, Mikey attended and graduated from law school. She worked in private practice and then joined the US Attorney's Office in New Jersey, first as an outreach and reentry coordinator, going on to serve as Assistant US Attorney prosecuting federal cases. In her first run for office in 2018, Mikey was elected to Congress, representing New Jersey's 11th district. As a mother raising 4 children, Mikey has been working to bring down costs for families. She has also helped secure federal funding for the Gateway Tunnel project. Please, everyone, join me in welcoming to the podium Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And thanks, Michelle, for having us all here today. I am so excited to be with so many business leaders. I really appreciate it because we have so much to do to move New Jersey's economy forward. Many of you in the room know me, but my name is Mikey Sherrill, former Navy helicopter pilot, former federal prosecutor, mom of 4 kids, 4 teenagers. That's why my husband says I am running for governor, to get out of the house. And I learned in the Navy that you either lead, follow, or get out of the way. And we have a lot of work to do here. I do not have time to slow down. So here's the thing you have to know about me. For my entire life, people have been talking a lot about things that are impossible to do. In fact, my own dad, when I told him I wanted to go fly in the Navy, said, I don't think the Naval Academy takes women, and I don't think they have women pilots. But as you heard, by the time I graduated in the first class of women eligible for combat on ships and aircraft. Again, when I said I wanted to run for the 11th District of New Jersey, the first piece of advice I got was, don't. That seat is unwinnable. And yet I flipped it in the largest red to blue majority in the nation that year. So I've never backed down. I've gotten to work, and it's because of that I have been able to get major priorities passed into law. The Gateway Tunnel project, flooding remediation funds, and cheaper prescription drugs for families. And I'm running now for governor because I love this state. But I know the challenges. I know the people here. I know the families. So I know that we are ready to chart a different path forward here. We need to take bold action to make our state more affordable by lowering the cost of housing, the cost of utilities, and the cost of health care. We need to boost economic opportunities by reducing bureaucratic barriers and red tape. We need someone who is willing to lead on innovative ideas and answer only to the people of New Jersey. Because we've got a legacy to live up to. From Thomas Edison to Bell Labs, our innovation state has changed the course of history generation after generation. I'm running for governor to make our state the leader in advanced technology research, development, and application once again. We have some of the most competitive industries and businesses in the entire world, pushed forward by our best-in-the-nation school system and our talented workforce. But we continue to leave a huge amount of economic growth on the table because we impose too many barriers to the business community, and we make it needlessly difficult to grow and to succeed. For example, CNBC has rated New Jersey 44th for the cost of doing business and 48th for business friendliness. I don't have to tell all of you here those numbers because I know many of you have talked to me about your problems and issues trying to navigate our state. It's unacceptable, and I will change it as governor. And so I'm committed. I haven't gotten a lot of sleep lately, guys. I'm committed to streamlining and simplifying the state processes through which new businesses can receive their licenses, and I'll overhaul the state permitting process to reduce costs and delays that are holding major projects like housing developments and energy projects back. And we've heard a lot about Pennsylvania because they are on the move. And just next door in Pennsylvania, Governor Shapiro reduced the time it takes for a new business to receive their license by 90%. It's a long past time that we do the same thing here in New Jersey. So let me give you one example. I've heard from numerous businesses who want to expand operations in New Jersey, and they have been forced to go elsewhere because the permitting process to open a new facility involved years of delays and millions in extra cost. They told me about having to mail required documentation to Trenton in 2025 and having no transparency or deadlines on when they would get approved. That business as usual will not cut it for our economy. On day one, I'll bring my commissioners together and adopt a culture shift at state agencies that puts New Jersey residents first and businesses first and prioritizes project approvals with the fewest delays and the lowest costs possible. Perhaps most importantly, I want to bring a level of collaboration and cooperation between our business community and Trenton that we have not seen in recent times. And I'll invest to build a more robust business action center that works collaboratively with owners of all size businesses to help cut through red tape and make it easier to set up shop here. When a business is applying for a permit, they should have every step of the process and the agency's progress on that step available to them in an online dashboard. They should be able to make sure that they have transparent and enforceable deadlines in this state. So we have to meet those and have the state agencies meet those in the process. I'm committed to this transparency and efficiency, which will lower cost and reduce delays. I'll also ensure that business leaders like yourselves always have a seat at the table in Trenton when major business decisions are made. So I can't promise you I'll always agree with you, but I absolutely pledge that I will always hear you out and engage in thoughtful discussions to reach balanced compromises. It's going to take all of us working together, building broad coalitions to chart a new path forward for our state. We also have to make key investments in our public schooling and workforce systems in evidence-based programs like high-impact tutoring and registered apprenticeships to give all New Jerseyans the opportunity to succeed no matter which zip code you are growing up in. And childcare challenges cost the state $3.6 billion annually. Access to childcare is an economic issue, plain and simple. Parents shouldn't have to hand over their entire paycheck to be able to afford safe, high-quality childcare. We need more childcare professionals, and one place we can start is on-the-job training. That's going to help increase the number of slots for vital programs like Head Start, and it'll help offset expensive certifications while allowing Head Start to invest in a pipeline of early educators. This will help us eliminate childcare deserts across our state. I've been proud to work with many people in this room to bring back federal dollars for job training programs and apprenticeships, and I'll continue fighting in Trenton to fund these evidence-based initiatives. Across the state, I constantly hear what we all know. Things are too expensive. As governor, I'm focused on cutting through red tape and permitting and zoning barriers to build more homes, including more commercial conversions and transit-oriented development. I'll also build more solar on state properties and streamline the permitting process to lower energy prices. I want to close by discussing the attacks on New Jersey's economy we've seen from Washington. We're already feeling the impact of tariffs on the economy here in New Jersey. they've paralyzed business investment and are adding cost and making it impossible to grow and succeed. There are too many examples of New Jersey businesses hurt by tariff policies. Java Love in Montclair has had to raise prices because they import coffee beans. Local developer I spoke to has paused new housing developments because HVAC systems are now too expensive. And on top of that, DOGE is destroying key governmental functions that support our economy. We've seen massive cuts in science and medical R&D, which have historically powered the U.S. economy, especially here in New Jersey. And we're now seeing huge cuts to agencies like the FDA and the CHIPS office within the Department of Commerce that are essential to biotech and manufacturing innovation. It's critical that the next governor act as a check against these destructive actions and protect New Jersey from these excesses. The very last thing we need is to bring that to New Jersey. So we have a long list of challenges to tackle as a state. It's going to take the right kind of leader and someone who isn't afraid to go against the status quo to get there. So I want to hear from all of you, and now I think it's time to open it up to Q&A.
Okay, same. We will take a few questions. I see a gentleman in the back. Please stand up and tell us who you are.
Congresswoman, good to see you again. John George, question for you. You mentioned permitting. We heard a lot about the energy crisis. We need an all-of-the-above approach for all forms of energy, but generally, it takes a lot of time to get things done. Combined with the repeal of certain tax credits through the IRA, what can the new governor of New Jersey do to kind of support clean energy growth and deployment in the state of New Jersey?
Thank you. I think we need a real no-kidding plan. We have a lot of clean energy goals. We want to see a lot of increase in energy. We want to see a decrease in prices, and we want to see a decrease in carbon output. And the state that really solves the energy needs of the future is the state that is going to own the innovation future, and it's going to be New Jersey. And the way we do that, I think, is we, in the near term, push in a lot of solar. New Jersey's only gone up by about 20% in solar in recent years. The average across the country is 150%. Texas is the biggest adopter of solar. Minnesota has one of the best community solar programs, so there are opportunities in solar. The thing I like about that, too, is not only is it the cheapest form of energy, it is also something that we can use as an end run right now, immediately around PJM and their messed up market. So I'd love to see moving forward on that. But long term, if we are going to really meet some of our energy needs, I think we need to move into nuclear. That's a longer term proposition. It's an expensive one right now, but there are about 4 to 6 states across the nation that would like to move into solar. If we build a one-size-fits-all solar and not an a la carte solar, that drives the costs down. We also are one of only 6 states in the nation with a pre-approval for a nuclear site. And so utilizing that is very helpful, as well as getting the federal government to hopefully defray some of the risk on a long-term nuclear power plant. Thanks.
Looking around this side of the room, I want to make sure I'm fair. Stand up if you have a question. There you go.
My name is Matthew Benjamin. I'm a rising junior at Georgetown University. Our state budget, our assets minus liabilities, are $160 billion. And the decisions made in Trenton over the next 4 years are really going to determine whether or not I can come back and live in this state, raise my family in the place that my parents decided to, and be able to afford that life. What are your plans to resolve that issue and make sure that the future generations living within the state are able to afford to live here? Thank you.
Thank you. That's a great question. So that's a question that I think about all the time, as you can imagine, with 4 kids who I both very much want to move back to New Jersey when they finish college, but also, or finish their time in service, but also don't want them to move back into New Jersey, into my home. I always tell people they are very messy. They leave the toilet lids up and everything, so I need them to launch eventually. But it is too expensive right now for people to come back here. I think about how I purchased my first home. And the way we would do it when I was younger is you would have your paycheck, and my paycheck was really modest in service, but you would have your rent that you would pay, and then you'd put a little bit aside until you developed a nest egg, and then you could eventually purchase a small starter home and then purchase your family home. That's just not available to people. In fact, I had one gentleman tell me, my son's 28 and he's saving. That's obviously not the age when you buy a house. And I thought, since when is 28 not the age when you think about buying a house? It's probably in the last 5 years because our property prices have gone up by 50%. So driving down the cost of home ownership, the cost of rental prices is really key right now to driving down costs. It is the number one thing I hear about as people are coming back or trying to live in our state. We do that by building houses. We have a supply problem. Costs have gone up by 50% over the last 5 years. In Colorado, where they're doing transit-oriented development, and they've built it 2 to 1 the rate of New Jersey, over the last several years, their costs have gone down by 20%. So we have got to start building. We've got to make sure we have more opportunity for people to get into homes. But you're also right in that our state budget is got to be addressed, and we've really got to drive down costs there and think about a more responsible financial path forward, because I have to tell you, when you look at the state pension plan that has been chronically underfunded for decades now, you see a plan where we're paying $7 billion to service the debt. New York has a far larger one. They are only paying $1.5 billion. So that is why we have to get ahead of this now, because otherwise it's going to be on the backs of our children. And as governor, I'm delving into the budget. I'm already doing it so we can drive down costs there, but also build out the future by building houses, fixing our utility costs and healthcare costs as well. Thank you.
Question, please stand up so we could see you. Yep.
Of state colleges and universities. Obviously, I represent state colleges around the state. We bleed about almost 30,000 students to other jurisdictions annually, and we do a great job at investing in K-12 or P-12. What are your thoughts about investing in higher ed and workforce development more robustly as we move into this next decade for the fight for the future for innovative purposes?
Thank you. So that's really key. New Jersey, as many of you know, has more scientists and engineers per square mile than anywhere else in the country. It is that incredibly talented workforce that draws the incredibly talented businesses that we have in our state. But we bleed too many people. We have too many kids that go to other states. In fact, one of the first chamber meetings I had in Morris County years ago, I remember talking to Megan Hunter about a website they were developing to lure college students back to New Jersey and the jobs we have here. But the best way to have our students stay here is to have them educated right here in New Jersey. And we really do need to work to drive down costs. So I think there's several ways we do that. One, our community colleges are doing excellent work. They're very nimble. They've been incredibly nimble at putting together different programs for our businesses. I know ones in my area work closely with businesses to develop the manufacturing training, the nursing training, the programs that our businesses need locally, and they work hand in glove there to provide the training they need. Stackable degrees, I think, are very important here. So it's no longer, as you graduate, a either or on whether you go to college or whether you don't. Getting some certificate programs and then going back into school, and having our colleges and universities accept students at different stages of their careers so they can get retrained, they can up their qualifications as they go through the workforce, I think is really important. Having regional discussions about our colleges and really engaging in those discussions so that we are not just competing against each other, as I see too many times now. Instead, really developing some models in the region so that people can teach certain things and can drive students into those programs. And then, of course, walking some of this training back into our high schools so we can feed kids right into the colleges and universities here in New Jersey and develop that relationship early. possibly getting some credits there with the colleges to really help them move right into that so they stay right here instead of going to colleges outside of our state. Thank you very much.
Hi, Congresswoman. Cindy Ziff from Clean Ocean Action. Many of us know that the ocean has come a long way from the bad old days of ocean dumping. We've worked all very, very hard, spending billions of dollars improving the ocean. It's now teeming with life and a joy to behold and an incredibly important economic engine to the entire state. We're now facing sort of a dramatic shift where we're looking to the ocean for industrialization, for everything from fossil fuel to very reckless, excessive amounts of offshore wind. What is your ocean protection agenda, and what vision do you have for our beautiful, important ocean?
Well, thank you. I think we have to make sure that as we're looking at our ocean and all of our waterways, we're doing several things. Being good stewards of any of the pollution that goes into them. So some of the areas that we've had real problems with in our waterways have been PFAS. That's something I've been addressing, microplastics in the water, and certainly keeping trash out of our waterways. I think making sure we're really being great stewards of our shore. The New Jersey shoreline is actually some of the most fragile shoreline in the world right now when it comes to a rise in sea level temperature, rise in temperatures and melting and the sea level rise, and then making sure that we're utilizing it appropriately as we ensure that we have programs that take care of our oceans, take care of our fisheries, protect the fisheries as well so we don't see an abuse there. But we're really seeing the cleanliness, especially in some of the oyster farming, et cetera, that takes place that's really helping with the cleanliness of our oceans and continuing that. We've seen some great work done in the Chesapeake Bay, which has had huge differences and change. A lot of that is managing some of the sea life in the area so that it filters and cleans out the water there as well. But I'd love to work with you on more ideas. Thank you.
Congresswoman, thank you very much. So I don't know about all of you, but I've got a bounce in my step, because if even 10% of what was discussed tonight can actually come to fruition, we are all going to be in a much better place. New Jersey's businesses are going to thrive, our job creators are going to create new jobs, and our economy is going to be in a much better place. I want to thank the two candidates, and I want to thank you for something that is extremely meaningful, that is not lost on me, and I'm sure many in this room. You are both sitting here. You stayed to listen to each other, and this was incredible that you stayed on policy the whole night. This is what we need in the campaign and for the next 6 months in New Jersey. So I want to thank you. Please be safe out on the trail. Continue your journey. Next stop, the White House for one, and I know the other one will be there helping to support the state to move forward. To all of you who joined us tonight, thank you for your important participation this evening, for your support, for your contributions to NJBIA. Please take a look at the blueprint. Take the opportunity to be a booster to the blueprint. We need your name added to it. And as we can tell, these candidates hear what we're saying as a business community for what we need to be regionally competitive and affordable here in the state of New Jersey. Thank you, BIA staff, and have a great evening, everyone. And finally, to our partners, thank you.